Good evening, everyone. And of course, good morning to Dr. Ashley. My name is Dr. Mugdha Lele, and on behalf of the TechX.in team at Venture Center, I'm very happy to host the fourth wave of our Only One Theme Awareness Talk series on innovation management. A very welcome to today's talk. Today's topic is a very important topic, which is going to be a primer for those who are interested in applying to become an RTTP, which is a Registered Technology Transfer Professional. Our esteemed speaker for today is Dr. Ashley Stevens. Let me briefly introduce Dr. Stevens before we begin the talk. Dr. Stevens has worked in the entrepreneurial world since 1982 when he joined one of the first generation biotechnology companies, Biotechnica International in Cambridge, Massachusetts. He subsequently co-founded two biotechnology companies, GenMap, the first company founded to work on the human genome, out of which emerged myriad genetics and cytogenetics. All these companies took ahead academic technologies on their first steps into the marketplace, and in 1991, Dr. Ashley moved one step ahead the value chain where he entered the fledgling world of technology transfer. From 1991 to 1995, he was a director of technology transfer at the Dana-Farber Cancer Center, which is a teaching affiliate of the Harvard Medical Center. 1995 onwards, he moved on to the Boston University, where until 2007, Dr. Ashley was director of the Office of Technology Transfer in the Community Technology Fund, and subsequently was executive director for technology transfer until he retired in July 2011. Under his leadership, some 55 new companies were spun out of BU, that is Boston University, and for 10 years he held an adjunct appointment in BU's Western School of Management, where he taught two graduate level courses on the commercialization of early stage technologies, bench to bedside, and technology entrepreneurship and commercialization. Each summer, he is a guest professor at Osaka University, Japan, where he teaches technology commercialization course called GTech, and he was previously an adjunct principal investigator at the National University of Singapore, Suzhou Research Institute. Since retiring from Boston University, he has chaired the patent committee of the Forsyth Institute, a leading research institute focused on oral health. Dr. Ashley has also been a president of AUTM, which is the Association of University Technology Managers, and in 2010 and in 2010-11, he received AUTM's Badon Award in 2007. He is both a certified licensing professional and a registered technology transfer professional. He also serves on one of the RTTP review panels at AUTM, and this is a very important, this is the credential based on which we have invited him today for giving this important talk on RTTP registration process. Dr. Ashley, with this brief introduction, we welcome you once again, and we hand over the session to you.
Thank you, Mugdha. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. Let me start to share my screen. I can find where we are. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to talk to you today about RTTP accreditation, why and how to apply. And I want to acknowledge Jeff Skinner, who is truly one of the fathers of RTTP, who initially developed this talk. So what I'm going to talk about is who was the RTTP created for? What are its benefits? We think they're benefits. What you need to have done before you can apply for full RTTP, and then what we need. Evidence of relevant training and or deals done, an achievement overview, a complex case led by you. Along the way, we'll talk about the main reasons that people get rejected when they apply for RTTP. And then we'll talk about the newest RTTP, actually that's not quite true, the second RTTP qualification, which is a candidate RTTP for more junior people. And then hopefully we'll have some time for questions. So I am not the father of ATTP, but I certainly was the midwife. As AUTM president in 2010, I put together the deal that set up ATTP, which awards the RTTP. I am an RTTP and a CLP, a Certified Licensing Professional, which is another professional qualification in the licensing world created by the Licensing Executive Society. Okay, I'll admit it, I grandfathered in for both. I was around at the beginning, and to get these credentials off the ground, senior people in the profession were invited to apply and were grandfathered in on the basis of their career. So you know what happens, the early bird does get the worm. Sometimes you just have to be in the right place at the right time. But I still proudly claim and use both RTTP and CLP in my email signatures. And I'm on the review committee, one of the two review committees that will review your applications. And in fact, I've had to recuse myself from several of the RTTP applicants from Venture Center who came before the committee. And I said, I'm sorry, I work with these people. I cannot pronounce on their candidacy. I'm pleased to say that they all got approved anyway. So what do I think are the benefits of being an RTTP? Well, it demonstrates that you've received good, relevant training and have the technical skills. It's universally recognized. You're more likely to be shortlisted for your next job application if you are an RTTP. It signals that you take your tech transfer career seriously. It signals that your director thinks you're worth investing in because of all those courses she sent you on. Senior technology transfer practitioners, the people on the review panel like me, think you're worth it. It's likely that you're connected locally and internationally to many other technology transfer practitioners. It's proof that you can lead complex technology transfer projects because you have, and you've told us about one and convinced us. Ultimately, RTTP is a brand, signaling to your peers that you can be trusted to lead complex technology transfer projects. Why do we have the RTTP accreditation? It's the international standard for professional competence and experience in knowledge exchange, knowledge transfer, technology transfer, call it what you will. RTTPs are an elite group, currently about 1,200 individuals globally. There are fewer than 50 in India, I can tell you. For comparison, there are only 620 CLPs and only 5 in India. So RTTP is the most popular credential for licensing and technology transfer. To be eligible, you must be a member of an ATTP partner association. You have to go on your application form, select the ATTP partner association. Your association is going to be with STEM. You need an employment verification letter on institutional letterhead. Dear ATTP review panel, this is to certify that so-and-so is currently employed at our institution in the position of whatever it is. He or she commenced working at the institution on this date and has been employed on a full-time basis since that date. If you require any additional information, please contact me at these addresses. So part one, experience. You need, the requirements are, at least 3 years in a relevant role. And here's, you choose your file where you submit your employment verification letter. So what counts as relevant, you ask? In a proactive role, not administrative, you're doing technology transfer, quite broadly defined. TT, capacity building, an enabling initiative. In an academic to business context. To be more specific, what is proactive? RTTP is for those who make deals happen that would not otherwise happen. So if your institution runs the traditional cradle to grave, where somebody is assigned an invention disclosure and then manages it all the way through to successful licensing, that's perfect. If you're the lead negotiator on a complex case, that's okay. Marketing and sourcing licensees, that's okay if deals have followed. If you're the initiator and lead on a major technology transfer capacity building initiative, that works. But not finance or research services or contracts management officer or project management and other reactive roles. Why? Because they have their own professional associations that award professional recognition credentials in those fields. It sounds a little gray at the edges, but the principle is clear. What do we mean by technology transfer? Well, licensing is the purest form of technology transfer, but all knowledge transfer exchange roles are okay. So that includes spin-out, research collaborations, consortia. The important thing for us is it leads to substantial external investment. And you needed to invest in the commercialization. And it has to have impact. It could be socioeconomic impact rather than academic. What do we mean by capacity building? Examples, you masterminded a concept, sourced a negotiated investment for this initiative, you structured it and you ran it. A new seed fund, an incubator or other physical facility, a major network ecosystem for exchanging opportunities. You saw the need for and drove other complex changes in knowledge transfer organizations or systems. We need to see evidence the applicant made it happen. And I'm going to come back on this later on in much more detail. And we need to show that it wasn't easy. What do we mean by academic to business? Well, it's not purely business to business. That's too different. But we can argue about whether business to business is easier than academic to business. I would argue that in an emerging ecosystem such as India, where businesses are still coming to terms with the value of academic technology, I would argue that academic to business is much tougher than business to business. "90% of the applications we get are from university technology transfer or knowledge transfer offices. You're also welcome if you make deals happen that otherwise wouldn't have happened. Public research organizations are fine if technology transfer isn't their primary purpose, if their primary purpose is doing research, which then gets transferred to the private sector. Subcontracted advisors, lawyers, consultants are okay. Those in for-profit businesses who transfer in technology are okay. Let's talk about the second thing, the key skills. You need to show you have a technology transfer training track record. There is a training pathway or a mixed pathway. The training pathway is the most straightforward way. You need a minimum of 60 RTTP continuing education CE points. At least 30 of those CE points come from accredited face-to-face training, although during the pandemic, these were allowed to be online. So where'd you get these? From things like National Association conferences. If you go to the STEM annual meeting, you are eligible for CE credits. Live virtual courses and webinars. So you need to collect these certificates, and then when you're ready to apply, you choose your file and submit your continuing education certificates. The mixed pathway is evidence of two or more of the following: professional qualifications from relevant non-ATTP member training, and a list of deals or projects that you've done, and leadership roles in them, running a major technology transfer unit, a big technology transfer enabling initiative. So again, you select the mixed pathway statement and submit your files. Professional qualifications, create a table like this and keep it current as you accumulate your CE points. When you're submitting a list of non-member organized training courses in support of your full RTTP application, the review panel needs to understand the nature of these courses. We need to assess whether the course content is relevant to academic knowledge and technology transfer. We also need to assess whether the courses were of sufficient quality. For each course or program you include, we need a certificate or other proof of attendance, showing the title, the dates, the name of the provider, the total hours of training, and that excludes any field or self-study work. This is the face-to-face time that we want to see you've got the hours of. And we need a session-by-session program so that we can understand its relevance to your role. And we need the profile of those delivering the training so that we can be sure they are appropriate people. And then you need to keep a deal sheet. Some tech transfer professionals have been doing it for years. They give the courses. It is possible to apply with no training at all if you can show that you've led a number of significant deals. You can also submit a mix of courses, accredited and others, and experience deals. That's why we call it the mixed pathway. But we need to see evidence. So if you're going to create a deal sheet, when submitting a list of deals in support of your full RTTP application, you must give sufficient detail for the review panel to assess their validity. For each deal you include, the panel needs the following: a non-confidential description of the technology, the business, if you have to keep it confidential, talk about their size and the sector of industry that they work in, your role in making the deal happen. Were you the initiator, the lead negotiator, the advisor? Did you do the business development? And then the nature of the agreement. Was it primarily a collaboration, a license, a spin-off, investment, capacity building initiative? What? And then a summary of the terms. The approximate size of the investment or contract or estimated lifetime value of the deal, because we need to see that these are substantial deals. On your deal sheet, include only your most notable deals. You do not need to be exhaustive. If you've been in this business a while, you're doing 3, 4, 5 deals a year. We don't need to see them all, just the biggest and most important and most complex ones. As I said, if it's applying solely on the basis of your track record, then you might detail, say, 8 deals. If applying in combination with training, then you can include proportionately fewer. Remember, we're assessing the size and complexity of the deals that your institution delegates you to lead, not purely the number of such deals. The deal sheet should be signed by your line manager, attesting the deal sheet as a true and fair record of your achievements. If you change institutions, you may wish to get the outgoing institution to sign a deal sheet and then start a new one when you get to your new institution. So again, develop a spreadsheet that has these details in it and keep it current as you go along. Technology transfer leadership. We need a description of your leadership roles in knowledge exchange, knowledge transfer, and technology transfer, including the size and scope of the teams and initiatives you've managed. For those who are leading successful teams of knowledge transfer professionals, teams of 10 plus people who are themselves eligible for RTTP. You could be the director of a mid-sized university office, head of a subunit of a major university. You need to demonstrate successful using macro level numbers of office performance over time. How many deals we did, how it grew, the number of invention disclosures we managed, things like this. This is very rarely used nowadays because most senior leadership already have their RTTP if they want it, because this has been around for 15 years now. So if you're doing this, this is the sort of spreadsheet you need to maintain and keep up to date. Now I'm going to go on to what is probably the most important part of the application, your achievement overview. It's written as an essay. It's your story and your chance to show off. You need to tell a single complex case in depth. And you need to tell us your leadership role in that. It's probably going to be a project that lasted over 12 months, from the initial disclosure, perhaps through finding the licensee and then a complex set of negotiations. And it has to have impact, measured somehow, often financially. But remember, you can have impact without income, but you can't have income without impact. And most important, and I can't stress this enough, the challenges you encountered and conquered. So you need to submit a file with your statement and an endorsement letter from your manager that that was indeed your contribution to this deal. So all those applying for full RTTP status must submit an achievement overview in support of their application. It's a standalone document in which the applicant describes their role in leading a single complex deal that led to significant third-party investment in a technology or a capacity building initiative. So we want to see money coming into the system as a result of this deal. The panel uses the overview to understand whether the applicant can apply all that they have learned in leading the most complex of projects. You should focus on the process as much as the outcome. We need to understand the difficulties that you encountered and the actions and tactics that you used to resolve them. It shouldn't be an expanded resume or CV, since this does not give sufficient detail on any one project. And we see these submitted, typically there's one of these in every batch of applications we review. Now, I want to stress that your achievement overview is not about teamwork. It's all about you and what you achieved. It's one of those rare occasions where you need to write it in terms of I and me, not we and us. And this is very tough because we're all trained to work on teams and to be part of a team and support the team and credit the other members of the team, but not in your achievement overview. You must write it that way, I and me. And then the second major requirement of the achievement overview is it must be a major deal. The panel I sit on, I think we've had 3 applications from some poor woman at a major agricultural research institution in the US who has been managing a very complex portfolio of animal models. And the inventing professor moved to a new university and she had to manage this whole transition. It was incredibly complex, detailed work, But time and again, the panel just said to itself, we really can't see MTAs for animal models as being a big enough deal to warrant an RTTP. So it's got to be a major deal with major impact, financial or non-financial, up to you. Social it can be. The problem lay with your case study. This is the most frequent opening sentence of the email rejecting an application or asking you to resubmit your application. You didn't convince us that you can lead a complex case. So my tips for the story: focus on one case in depth, pick one which resulted in big external investment and which had major problems and complexities. Explain how the deal nearly fell apart 3 times, but you alone saved it. Describe your heroic role. And last night, as I was finalizing this talk, I went back through it, capitalizing, bolding, and underlining you and your and lead time and again, because I can't stress enough that it's so important that we see what you did and you contributed. Much more than the mechanics or legals. Talk about the people, particularly the people on the other side who nearly killed it, why they nearly killed it, and your creativity in overcoming their objections. A successful big deal doesn't cut it unless there were big challenges. We've seen this. There were a major deal that just went very smoothly, no challenges. We've rejected it because we said there has to be evidence that you can creatively overcome major problems. Let's talk about the core competencies for RTTPs. You need strategic and business insight, strategic thinking, market-led business acumen, commercial skills. You need entrepreneurial leadership, leadership in building collaboration and partnerships and changing organizations through innovation. You need legal, scientific, and technical know-how, understanding and managing the legal, contractual, and domain issues required to effectively exchange and transfer knowledge. You need effective engagement, marketing, promotion, brokering, communication, persuasion, and influencing required to bring partners together. These are all the things that make technology transfer such a challenging, but also such a rewarding and satisfying career to have. You need governance and project management, managing complex projects to transfer or exchange knowledge and ensuring effective governance and compliance. You need knowledge transformation and management, the administration of systems and processes to support the effective transfer or exchange of knowledge. But please do not base your application around these competencies. We'd had applications that just list them and tick off and say, here's what I did here. That's not going to cut it. Not a tick list. Rather, the core competencies should guide you what to highlight in your story that you tell us. Investment or income is an acid test. Sometimes the applicants worked hard on planning, marketing, and so on. However, the project has not yet stimulated much private investment or resulted in significant income or created significant social impact. Without such measures and evidence, the panel needs more persuading, and we often ask applicants to resubmit later when the project has had a chance to mature and these results have become more clear. And a failed project can still be okay if it was just bad luck that it failed, but it was complex, you overcame challenges and got the deal in place, even if the technology didn't work out. After all, that is not our responsibility to make sure the technology can work out. It has to have a good prospect of working out, and then it's in the hands of the partner to actually make it happen. We need your application to be in English. We require the entire application to be in English. Why? English is the international language of business. To be truly successful in knowledge transfer, you need to be able to work in English. However, we're not seeking perfect English. We simply need to be able to read the evidence, follow the achievement overview, Google Translate, and proofreading is probably going to be good enough. Obviously, in India, this is not going to be a problem. In fact, my best friend is Indian, and when we have heated discussions over whether the Britain left India better off than we found it, I say, well, one of the best things we did for you is we gave you the English language that gives you such a head start in dealing with the rest of the world. So you can ask a friend for whom English is their first language to proofread. As I say, this is not going to be an issue in India. And you need an endorsement letter on institutional letterhead. Dear ATTP review panel, I confirm that the above achievement overview is a true and accurate reflection of X's personal achievements and endorse X's application for RTTP status. If you require any additional information, please contact me at this address. So your application checklist. You need to be a member of an alliance association. You need experience and a verification letter. You need key skills, CE credits, or your mixed pathway statement. You need your achievement overview, a statement, and endorsement. We have a new credential, a relatively recent RTTP candidate. For those who are quite new in the knowledge exchange technology transfer world, say 6 months to 3 years, and they want to work towards full RTTP status, and it's used by candidates to stimulate discussion with their line manager on personal development, trying to persuade them to send you to these courses and annual meetings so that you can accumulate your CE credits. I need training and to lead a more complex project is the sort of thing this will allow you to say to your line manager. And a wise director then argues for the resources to support the professional development of their staff. Our RTTP candidate is managed entirely by your member association. In the case of India, that is STEM. And then the newest qualification, I don't think we even have any yet, is RTTP Fellow. This is for senior figures, 15 years experience, 5 in a senior leadership role. You need to be affiliated to at least 1 or more ATTP member associations, and you need to submit a personal statement attesting to the career impact and service leadership, what you've done on capacity building and mentoring young people coming up, and a passion-driven engagement, and the recognition within the profession and influence that you've had. And you have to show that you've had a strategic vision in your career and moving the profession and the ecosystem in which you operate forwards. So the next submission date for the full RTTP one closed on November 5th. So the next one will be 3 months' time, 5th of February 2026 at 12 o'clock Central European Standard Time. So the longest journey starts with a single step. You need to create an account. Go to the ATTP website, apply now, and register a new account. That's where you need to start. And that's all I have to say. Good luck. Questions?
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Ashley. We are just going through the chat box to see what questions we have had. Meanwhile, if anyone has questions, you can also raise hand and ask your questions. So yeah, there's one question where it says, the person is asking, what if I'm self-employed? What would be the situation?
That's embarrassing. It costs you, I think, $200 or $300 to apply. And I think you get 2 submissions for that, maybe 3. That's the out-of-pocket cost of being an RTTP. Obviously, there is significant cost involved in attending all these courses, but hopefully those are going to be paid for by your organization.
Okay. There's one more question. He's asking, I advise my customers on technology transfer as a strategic management consultants. So are consultants allowed to become RTTP, although the customers are handling the tech transfer projects?
I'm sorry, give me that again. I was looking for it in the chat and I didn't find it.
Ram is asking, I advise my customers on technology transfer as a strategic management consultant. Are consultants allowed to become, he's asking ATTP. I think he means RTTP, although the customers are handling the tech transfer projects.
Yes, I did say that professional service providers, such as lawyers and consultants, are eligible. You need to provide us with the training credits. I would have thought you're probably going to be more likely to go down the mixed pathway if you are a consultant. But you should have plenty of examples of complex deals that you've helped your clients put together.
Someone is again wanting to re-clarify about the 30 CE points. As you have said, these are from 30 CE points from face-to-face training. They are mandatory. They cannot be acquired through combination of online and face-to-face. The 60 CE points can be accumulated through a combination of online and face-to-face training, right? That is what you meant when you talked about the CE credits.
That is a very, very sore subject. We knew it would be eligible for 30 CE credits. There are costs with getting CE credits. You have to submit the course materials to ATTP and they need to be approved. And there is a cost to doing that. And unfortunately, UNIDO did not want to incur those costs from this initial UNIDO project. And so those CE credits were not available for it. That's very regrettable. Venture Center wanted UNIDO to pay for it and to get the credits. We would have loved to have done it, but it didn't happen. I'm sorry.
I think regarding the cost, they can probably get in touch for the CE credits. They can get in touch with the relevant authorities, right, for getting their courses approved. You would not be able to give the estimate ballpark figure for the costs for getting the CE credits. There's one more question from Rajneesh. Is there a separate application route for the RTTP fellows who have more than 15 years experience, and what would be the cost involved for the same?
So yes, it's a separate application route. As I said, I don't believe we have any yet. There is a cost, and unlike the RTTP, once you've paid for your RTTP, the credential stays with you for life. There's no renewal. Whereas for my CLP, I have to pay a significant fee to renew that every 3 years. I believe the RTTP fellow is a short duration, like 2 or 3 years, and I believe there is a renewal cost every 2 to 3 years for the RTTP fellow. But then it's assumed you're so senior in the profession that you can afford that.
Ashutosh, we have asked to unmute yourself. You can ask your question.
Yeah. Hi, Ashley. This is Ashutosh calling from Bhubaneswar, Odisha. I do have more than 23 years of experience in IP, but I do feel that certificate of RTTP is really not required to become an technology transfer professional. I have observed many RTTP certified professionals are also in India are not skilled enough to transfer a technology. So can't we have in association with the venture center or something like that? Can't we have a similar certification program in India to certify the Indian professionals, those who are having real skill in technology transfer and IP in the Indian context itself?
As a loyal member of ATTP, I would not be encouraging India to set up a second credential. I think one of the big benefits of RTTP is that it is internationally recognized across the globe. I did not get the data on how many countries we have RTTPs. Obviously, most of them are in the countries where there is a member organization, and that is currently 16 organizations currently, or 17 because Brazil is joining as an affiliate member of ATTP. So in these are the major ecosystems. And if you want to move from India and get a job in one of these other countries, I think having an RTTP would be a significant help in trying to do that.
Okay, and for maintaining the status of this RTTP certification, we have to pay also the regular maintenance fees year on year. Okay, am I right?
For regular RTTP?
Yeah, yeah.
No, it's one payment when you apply and you're done.
For lifetime, no?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, what the fees then?
I forget. I have not looked that up.
Okay.
It's available on the website. I think it's
Sure,
$200 or $300. It is not excessive.
Okay, I will find it. Thank you very much.
There's another question from Niranjan. If someone is an IT professional who is directly not involved in technology transfer deal negotiations at this stage, are there any possibilities for such people to be RTTP as tech transfer basis coming from IP being protected by the IP professional?
Well, if you're just a lawyer, let's say, involved in getting patents, that's probably going to be tough to qualify for an RTTP. But as I said, you can be working for an accelerator or an incubator. And if you help create that and get it funded and and start it up and run it, those are the sort of activities other than direct technology transfer deals that we will consider as being eligible for RTTP status.
Gauri is asking a question. She has 77 credits overall, in which 15 are from face-to-face sessions. And currently she is working on 10 tech transfer deals, 2 of which seem to have social impact. So she wants, and plus she's working with a lot of firms and individuals where they are providing technology transfer services to them. So all this combination, does it qualify for RTTP? I think she's falling short on the face-to-face credits, right? Where she said 15 credits. You just mentioned it is 30 credits.
Yeah, I think we're pretty firm on that 30. As I said, we've allowed, since the pandemic, some of them to be online rather than sitting in the same room. But I think we're going to be pretty insistent on that 30.
Right. Someone has done a technology transfer from a company R&D as a marketing person to another telecom company. Does this qualify for RTTP? I think this will be a very easy deal. It would not qualify in what you mentioned as a key deal or a big deal, right?
I think that would not count. I did stress at the beginning of my talk that it has to be from an academic or a public research institution to business, not business to business.
Okay, let me alert everyone. Some of the attendees are asking to provide the recording. So as all of you are aware, this is being live streamed on YouTube, and I've put the YouTube playlist. So please do access this talk on the YouTube playlist. We will be putting it up by the end of the day today. So please do revisit this talk in your spare time. There's one more question. Mohammed is a registered patent agent and has played a negotiator role in successfully completing 2 technology transfers. And he's currently practicing as an independent partner through his own firm. There is no employer for this firm. Who will endorse me in this case?
I don't want to try to make policy for ATTP. I would suggest you write to ATTP and explain the situation and say, can one of the parties to this successful deal attest to your role in it? Whether they will say yes or not, I don't know, but ask.
Okay. Before we take the next question, we have put up the feedback link in the chat box, requesting the participants to give feedback so that we can incorporate your suggestions in our upcoming talks in this Only One Thing talk series. The next question is from Jigar, and he's asking, after application, does ATTP give opportunity for clarification on reasons identified for rejection through hearing before rejecting, or it's directly rejected application based on the provided data?
So the way it works is any day now, I will get an invitation to a review panel meeting, and I will be, and there are about 7 or 8 of us on this panel, and we have 2 panels. We will schedule a meeting at which we will discuss each application, and by and large, each discussion comes down to a review of the achievement overview. And the chair of the panel will synthesize, bring together the opinions and takes the final decision. And we write to the applicants either saying approved or rejected or resubmit. But there is not an opportunity for a dialogue.
Right. So yeah, if there are no more, just a moment. By attending an in-person event like the Indian Partner for Association of Technology Transfer Professionals, the STEM global courses, will that help in? Yes, they will help in getting the credits. The courses by STEM Global, those are accredited, CE accredited courses. So those credits will be counted. Right, Dr. Ashley? Yeah, that is what you also mentioned in your talk. So where's
yeah, I mean, the STEM Global courses and meetings will be eligible for RTTP credits.
right. All right, I think those are all the questions that we have. We will thank Dr. Ashley, but before we close this session, let me announce the next session, which is coming up on 25th of November, which is on articulating value proposition in technology marketing. And this will take place on 25th of November. And we go back to the 4 p.m. slot again. Today was a special session where Dr. Ashley kindly agreed to come. It is 6:30 at his place, nearing 7:30 now. But yeah, thank you, Dr. Ashley, for joining us so early in the day, and most happy to host you for today's session and many more to come as per your time schedule. So thank you once again, and thank you all for joining.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Good luck.
Bye.